The LEC has started giving us our first look at the new teams and some of the old teams. It's been a banger of a week. SK shows that they deserve to be at the top and make it to top 4. Vitality are confirming that they are a title contender. And Fnatic is basically having the start of another disastrous split. I'm your host, Nikita. Welcome back to The Gold Advantage. And with me is Mr. BMB. We were talking about this at the beginning. I think we just start off with a Fnatic disaster. What's going on? What's your read here?
I mean, this is a team that is 2-10 so far in 2023. This is a team that has tried to make some changes, but they are an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, for an organization that has been so meaningful to the LEC and to League of Legends and has had such success, to see this is like mind-blowing. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know which is like worse or a bigger explosion of just talent. Like last year when TSM was god-awful, or this year's Fnatic. Toss it up.
Oh, this year's Fnatic, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean,
without a doubt.
It's truly remarkable. I hate to see it. Honestly, I hate to see it. But at the same time, I mean, it means that other teams aren't in the bottom, which is great to see. But like, this is wild, especially for given. I mean, again, you name off the players on this roster, and 2-10. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's new roster, so we can just focus on the 0-3. And you might think, oh, it's 1 week. It's only 3 matches. Give them time to cook. The problem is, you only have 3 weeks and 9 matches. So this is 1/3 of your season potentially already done. You are 0-3. I did a video on Oscar Renan saying how he had performed really well on Fnatic Team Queso. This is the worst start, I think, debut of a rookie player. And I think it's nerves. I think a lot of his nerves and the pressure's put on him and he's collapsing. I think he is a better player than this because he is making such god-awful mistakes that are just ones that a high-level player like him just wouldn't make if he wasn't nervous. But the poor guy has gone 0-7-1 on Oner, 0-7-3 on Gangplank, 0-4-0 on Na. Like, it is just an absolute disaster. And at this point, I actually think the bigger issue here is I think they brought him up way too fast. He's 17. I don't know if he can handle the pressure. I don't know if he can handle the pressure being on a top team like this. You're going to destroy the poor guy's career. And I don't blame him.
Top team?
Well, I mean, like an org, a top tier org that has expectations of winning. It's a massive problem, and you can't just blame Rekkles because he had a couple of good games. He was actually ahead, I think, in 2 of those games, had a 1K, 2K gold lead. But the whole team is just a disaster, and I don't see how it's going to get better. That's my fundamental answer here. I think Fnatic, they lost to Excel, who was the 10th place team last split. If you can't beat them, I'm looking up and down here. Maybe they can beat Heretics, but everyone else I think is better than them. And to be fair, on Heretics, Jankos is playing out of his mind. I genuinely think the guy is playing some of the best League of Legends I've ever seen him play. Argument could be made that he is the MVP and the best jungler in the LEC at the moment, and his team is just a disaster.
Yeah.
But I actually think his solo performance could be enough to carry Heretics over Fnatic. So that's the only opponent that I think they might be able to.
I mean, for Heretics, you need to get rid of Eevee. You got to sub that out. But, I mean, look, they lose to a G2 team that we expect good things. The Koi team that I'm sure we will talk about in a little bit. And Team BDS, the heartthrobs that they are for us. So I'm not going to get too, pessimistic about Heretics. Like, would you like to see them beat one of Koi or BDS? Sure. But 0-3, not the worst start.
Yeah.
We're talking about a bunch of teams. We're going to probably talk about a bunch more. But, like, what a fun, my biggest takeaway, right, is just like the story. I mean, in esports, storylines always went out, but this LEC split is lining up for a ton of fun content.
Yes, it is. It's been so much fun. Just the matches have been fun. I think the storylines, like, even Upset just coming back and then dumpstering on Fnatic, that was fun. He came out and just was laughing at them. I think there's some good rivalries going in there. It's a weird thing because last split was fun, but G2 was so clearly the better team. I'm really hoping that the experience that SK has gotten will help make them more competitive. I hope that Vitality is really going to be able to compete at the top. So yeah, no, it has been. It's been great fun. I think we're jumping. If we look at the top, SK, I just want to say, made top 4 last split. I think there were question marks whether that was legit. I think they haven't had the toughest start, but I will say that they continue to look very solid. So I do think they are a top 4 contender. I think they are legitimately a top half, top 6 team. And I'm excited because they've kind of finished off one split strong and taken that straight into the next split, which has been great.
I mean, like, if you're going to discount SK, which I'm not saying you are, but if you're going to discount SK, then you have to discount Vitality. They played XL, Fnatic, and Mad Lions, right? So the 2 teams that are 3-0, I think should be 3-0, right? I think that based on who they played and based on our expectations for both of those teams, they should both be 3-0, and they are. So that's great. You don't always win the games you should win. I think
And Vitality looks good. I think Vitality just looked... I don't think there's too much to say about them. They were a good team last split. They fumbled in the bottom lane. Now Upset just looks really solid. Team looks like it's upgraded. I think that's all there is to it.
100%. But I think it is absolutely time. I mean, I know we started with Fnatic, but the number 1 team we have to talk about is Astralis.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is the team that...
Solid wins.
Solid wins. Beating G2 and Koi. I mean, this is a team that we saw. They barely snuck into whatever this...
Top 4?
No. They barely snuck into...
playoffs.
I guess it's called
groups.
Right.
In groups.
So they barely sneak into groups. And then this is an Astralis team that almost beats Mad Lions, goes down the loser bracket, beats BDS, which I remember being there. I was blown away. I chalked it up as a team that had kind of thought they were going to be G2, didn't quite have it, and then they just weren't really paying attention to Astralis, and then Astralis gets beat again by Mad Lions in a 2-0. But this is Astralis team that I think, or I'll speak for myself, was discounting the entire time. Not that impressed, but they kept kind of coming back. And, this is a team, look, they're 2-1. I'm not saying that they're going to be top 3 where they are at the moment, but I think this is another team that's guaranteed to make playoffs, or groups, I mean. And I expect them to kind of sit right in that 5-6 range.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think that is exactly
Which is a massive increase for them from the previous season.
Huge. But this is the thing. This is kind of tied to the whole Fnatic question mark is even XL is if these teams are going up, someone's got to go down. And look, at the end of the day, when you look back historically at Astralis, they started off low and they headed in the right direction. It's just been a rocket ship going up and up and up. And good for them because they made it to top 4 and the playoffs. And I think a lot of that was attributed to BDS choking, and I don't disagree with that. But nonetheless, then they would have been a top 6, top 5. But they showed with that win that they're good enough to be a top 4 team, to be a top 3 potentially, if they work harder. And I think this is continuing on. If they're going to continue winning like this, you know what? I'm going to say it now. After the first week, I don't think Koi is going to make top 4.
Absolutely not.
I think they're out. And I also think Mad Lions... this is less sure, but I think Mad Lions could drop out of top 4.
So funny. I was ready for you to come in and talk about this, right? But rewind 1 week to us sitting in this exact same podcast, talking about Mad Lions, advocating and telling our beloved fans and listeners of this beautiful podcast to bet on BDS over Mad Lions because Mad Lions always starts the split slow. It's just the way. Just like the sun will rise in the morning, Mad Lions will start off slow. The reality is, I do think that this Mad Lions team is still going to be top 4. If I were to kind of guess what my top 4 teams are going to be, I will say SK. I think that they're very good. I'll say Vitality. I will say BDS, and I'll say Mad Lions. And the reason...
So G2. You think G2 is out? That's insane. You're insane.
All I want to point to is the only 2 teams they've beaten so far is Heretics and XL. So maybe they're good.
Maybe they're bad. Maybe I don't know. Maybe G2 are good. Maybe they're bad. I just have a feeling that Astralis I think is a solid contender. I think BDS is a solid contender. then we have SK as a solid contender in that kind of top 4. That's pushing Mad Lions, who I think overperformed because I'm not sure teams were strong last split, and definitely Koi, who I feel were weak out. Maybe they'll turn it around because, like you said, both of them have slow starts and so on. But the nice thing to see is like teams like SK, teams like Astralis, they are not missing a beat between their strong performance last split going into this split. And I love that. I love the fact that we have short splits, and I love the fact that the splits are back quickly because I think it allows teams to take those momentums and carry them on. The good thing is this is great for betting. Because I hope you've looked at this week. I was going to be like, I don't know if you've looked at the bets this week, but I hope so.
Oh yeah.
You know, let's at least pretend we do work for this podcast. But there are some, matches this week are pretty interesting. Can we
also just pat ourselves on the back for last week's bet that Astralis, that we said bet against G2 in each game until they lose, right? So you would have lost the first bet, but then you would have nailed the second bet. You would have made 2x your money. If you put 1 unit on each of those, you would have put 2 units down. You'd have won 4 points, some units back. That's a nice little 2x win. Thank you very much.
And don't forget the also the BDS call over Mad Lions. That would have made you a nice little stack. So, yeah, look, we can pat ourselves on the back. Big brain moves coming out of us. And I think we have a few more big brain moves here.
Let's hope so.
And I kind of want to kick it off with the biggest one. Mad Lions versus Astralis. I have Mad Lions at 1.49, Astralis at 2.66. I think Astralis is going to continue this.
Okay. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not betting this. Just like, again.
No? Okay.
Just like the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, Mad Lions is now warmed up. I'm not betting it. There's no value on Mad Lions. Like, do not bet on Mad Lions.
There's no value. I would take Astralis. I will say what I always say in a riskier thing, have a look at the draft. Have a look at the draft. But I do think the odds are 2.66 on Astralis. I think is too much value.
I can respect it. I can absolutely respect it.
And now we have a battle of the bottom feeders next. XL versus Heretics. Heretics are 1.99, XL 1.83. I wanted to get your take on this. Is XL better?
To me, this is just exceptional value on Heretics. Like, I'm getting 2.0 odds.
Okay.
On a team that I still think is a good enough. Like, I'm not trusting XL. I'm taking the underdog.
Yeah.
And probably just because someone's reading 0-3 versus 1-2. And I'm happy to.
I think the thing here is that Heretics made it to groups last split. Yeah. And they did okay in groups. Not good enough to make top 4. No one expected them to. I think they came in 6th at the end of it. We think Fnatic's out. I think Fnatic is just going to be bad. I don't see it getting better.
Chop the liver.
That's it. The question is, do you think Excel making one change in the coaching staff change is enough to make them better, let's say a top 8 team as opposed to a bottom 2 team, so they make it to groups? Because if they do, then I assume Heretics is the one that doesn't. But if you don't believe that, then there's no reason not to take Heretics here. This is the last match I really want to talk about. It's Vitality versus SK. Vitality is at 1.55, SK is at 2.47. Do you think SK is good enough to beat Vitality?
Yes.
I don't.
I do. Absolutely. This
so you
SK
take the
team,
bet?
Well, not only will I take the bet, I'll raise you the bet. SK beat Vitality 2-0 in groups last split.
Yeah, but it's a different team. That's irrelevant. You can't be bringing this stuff in.
No. The reason it matters. It has. I know it's a different team and it's a different time. The reason it matters is because they have the confidence that they can beat this team.
No, but they beat them through Neon in bot lane, which was a disaster. And guess what? He's not there anymore, and you have upset. So I just think the whole strategy there no longer works.
I think this is a team that, regardless of who they put in there, are confident they're going to win this game. Again, I'm not going to bet it. I'm actually surprised that this is the game that you brought up.
Okay.
But you just asked me if I thought SK could win. I do think SK can win.
Okay. I guess, yes. I think they can win, but I don't think they will win this match. I think Vitality has their eyes on the prize. I think Perks is sick and tired of substandard finishes. I think Bo and Photon are not going to accept another split outside of being top 2 the whole way through. I think Upset has come back to Smash.
If SK wins this match, they can still be top 2. But
yeah,
I do think look, Vitality in the last split had an exceptional kind of play-in stage. This is best of ones. This is where they really excel. I would expect Vitality to win this game, but you asked me if I thought SK could win this game.
That's a very good point.
The one game that I want to talk about, which
you have
almost
today. Okay, go
certain you would have brought up, you can get Koi at 3.46 against G2. That is so much value. I think G2 is unquestionably the better team, but are they 3.46 to 1.32 better? I don't think so. And these two teams have a rivalry.
I'm okay with the G2 line. I'm not okay with the Koi line. But my issue with that...
You can't get one without the other.
I just don't believe in Koi.
That's fine.
I didn't believe in them last split, and I was kind of justified. Koi has been playing the same way for so long.
Yep.
And it's just not working anymore. I think it will take them... I think they are a good enough team, and with good enough players, and they know how to play the game well enough, that it will always take them to a high finish. But I think the second they start running into teams that are really capable of going against them, it's very hard for them to win.
All right. Well, I'm going to say the same thing I said last week, which is, for some reason, this G2 team is getting unhealthy amounts of respect, right? They are the favorite.
They completely dominated last split.
They are, but we know this. This isn't the playoffs yet.
How is it an unhealthy amount of respect? They are the champions. They are by far the best team. They smashed everyone.
They were the best team. Now they're losing to Astralis. And the fact that you can get Koi at 3.46, you can get Vitality at 2.27, and then you can get BDS at 3.46. I'm going to be placing a unit on every single one of those games. They're going to lose at least one. They might lose two.
I think they use a lot of this time to experiment.
Correct. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. We're not saying that they're not good.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I acknowledge your point. I acknowledge the odds.
Thank you.
I tip my hat to you, good sir.
That's all I'm looking for. We're just looking for odds.
That's all you're looking for. It's all we're ever looking for. All right, next day's matches. I know you want to talk about Astralis BDS.
You know I do.
So take it off.
However, I can't go against this BDS. I can't go against this BDS team. Astralis at 2.10 is decent.
Yep.
I in my heart of hearts still think BDS is a better team, and so they're 1.75. It's gonna be hard for me to bet on them at that number though, because this is kind of.
I like that number, but I agree with you. I do. I think both sides are good enough. This is a draft game for me again, but I do agree. I think this is but the reason is I really do think this is a team. They are in that 4-5-6.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they're in that 4-5-6 number where every week I think they can go either way. I don't believe that Astralis is going to have a perfect run going from here. I think every week for Astralis is probably going to be a 2-1. Maybe they'll have one. I think it'll probably be a 2-1. Most
2-1
times.
Or 1 and 2.
2-1, 1 and 2. The big thing for me is how does Astralis and then BDS and SK compare to their cohorts? Who are those three? So for SK to beat Astralis, that's a really good thing because that's the guy they're competing with. Now we have a BDS Astralis. I do think that BDS wins this.
But Astralis beat BDS in their, in the group stage, 2-1.
Best of 3.
Yeah. And so,
when it mattered, Astralis came out on top.
By the way, great plug. What I will say...
Yeah. If you like the best of 3, if you like best of 3s and you like the new format, please like and subscribe. It really helps us. And it shows support for the best of 3s that are happening in the LEC somehow.
Yes. What I will say, Astralis at a 2.1, this is really their only chance, I think, to get a real win this weekend. So at 2.1, it actually might be good value for you to bet on them. Because then they come back and have to play Vitality. And if Vitality has just come off of a G2 loss, there's no fucking way that they're going to lose to Astralis right after that. And so
I don't think they're winning against Vitality. I do think they have a chance to win against Mad Lions, because I would say Mad Lions is the third best team, but there's a chance for SK, Astralis, or BDS to overtake them if the momentum is right and they start really tightening things up. Quickly, Fnatic Heretics. I can get Fnatic at 2.12, Heretics at 1.73. I just think this is good odds on Heretics. I fade Fnatic. Fade Fnatic hard. I think this is done. So it's not even about anything monumental. It's just like, I think Fnatic is terrible and you can win. And actually, if you parlay another Fnatic 0-3 week, you get 3.74. So that is the be all and end all that I have on that one.
I'm gonna rebuke.
Yes?
I'm gonna rebuke.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take Fnatic at 2.12. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then also, again, Koi 2.35. Now we think they're kind of shit against SK, but like decent odds, and then Vitality over G2 at 2.27. Like there's just so much value on the other side of these things. Where these games right now, I think best of ones. A bunch of teams that are kind of like anyone could beat anyone on any given day, like, and it's not like it's like a rarity. Like I think you're gonna see a lot of these upsets come through.
I don't disagree with that, and I would say that a lot of, especially day 2, I think day 1 is a little bit more lopsided, and we talked about it, but day 2, I think there's a lot of parity, and the odds do not reflect the parity. As much as I'm saying that I'm not a big believer in Koi, let's not forget that they still made it to top 3 last split, and beat out against an SK team, and so on. So you can see that they are good enough, and so they are more evenly matched than these odds reflect. The same with Vitality and G2. That means bet live. Bet live, look at the draft. One team gets clearly a better draft, you jump on that. Vitality versus G2, I think this is a big match. I don't know who wins.
I think Vitality. I think if it's playoffs and it's a best of 5 or a best of 3, G2 wins. But for a best of 1, I like Vitality.
Yeah, okay. For the odds, I don't disagree with that. I'm really excited. This is not a match I'm betting on, but it's a match I'm really excited to see, because obviously Hans Sama and what's his name, Mickey in bot lane have been phenomenal. It's going to be exciting to see how does Upset do with Kaiser. The big question mark is around Kaiser. Rest of the team, what's this identity? This is going to be Vitality has been built to beat G2. So
let's
every time we see this, we need to see what happens there. Final day. I didn't really have anything on the final day.
I completely agree. I think it's going to beat XL. I think you're going to see Mad Lions beat Heretics.
Yeah.
Vitality's going to beat Astralis. G2's going to beat BDS. And then Koi's going to beat Fnatic. Like, the odds are so... I mean, without... one of those is going to be upset, but, like, in looking at it, I don't think I could pick and tell you which one it's going to be. And so, like, I don't want to bet it, right? Like... They all seem pretty lopsided. Yeah.
3 of the matches have over 3.0 odds.
Yep.
2 of them have over 2.5 odds. The problem is a team with 2.5 are Excel and Fnatic, which are the 2 weakest teams in the league, and I trust them the least. So that automatically kind of excludes them, and the other 3 are just it's so wild. So
if you pick all favorites, if you pick the 5 favorites, you still get 4.86. Maybe just throw a little half unit on that bad boy.
Maybe. I don't know. Bit risky. What you can throw is a like down, just down there. Helps us out a lot. If you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe.
Great returns there.
Great returns. I mean, we did look. If you placed any of the bets from last week, I think we deserve a subscribe. You know, if you didn't because you didn't trust us, then you should subscribe.
Then you really need to subscribe.
And if you did and you lost money, leave a comment telling us why we're dumb. That wraps it up. Thank you very much for tuning in.
I think the big winner this weekend is going to be Mad Lions. That's kind of my takeaway for this weekend.
That's your takeaway for this week.
Yep. I think you're going to see Mad Lions 3-0.
It's reasonable. So grab that value while it's there. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you next week.